Things are heating up with drama behind the scenes at WWE after the fallout from WrestleMania 41, and The Rock is making everything worse every time he opens his mouth. Now, Dwayne Johnson, I'm not a fan of. The Rock, the final boss, I'm a fan of. But Dwayne Johnson is a manipulator. Dwayne Johnson is a liar. Dwayne Johnson is an egomaniac. And Dwayne Johnson decided to not show up to WrestleMania as the final boss. But he then showed up to the Pat McAfee show the very next day after the fallout happened, after the disastrous creative choices happened. He decided to show up on the Pat McAfee show and essentially throw everybody under the bus, all while claiming that the reason he didn't show up was because he wanted the spotlight to be on John Cena. Anyone that's followed wrestling for any amount of time knows that The Rock doesn't want the spotlight on anyone other than The Rock. So the fact that he said that was absolutely laughable. And now he's making more statements that are making everything worse. Right now, The Rock is doing himself no favors with a response like this. Why is it so hard to acknowledge that you effed up in the situation and that you should have been there for at least WrestleMania? Triple H not being mentioned in this should tell you all you need to know about their conflicting creative standpoint. This is the comment he's talking about over on Instagram. Hi, Dave. The business is a complete work. Always has been, always will be. Every aspect of it, every match, every interview. Please join me, Cody, Cena, Brian, and the rest of us for your creative discussions so you can expand your perspective. Until then, stop ranting. It's not healthy, my friend. Enjoy the show. P.S. Tell Bubba, so whatever. Obviously, this is my biggest problem with all of this. And I saw a couple of people yesterday saying, oh, I can't believe you're worried about kayfabe, Jeremy. Kayfabe's been dead since, the curtain call at Madison Square Garden. That's not my point. Everybody knows wrestling is a work. I don't need you in the middle of the match or the middle of the show to tell me that wrestling's a work. I don't need to constantly be told that wrestling is a work. When I'm watching a movie, I don't want the movie to stop halfway through the story, to show me the director and to show me all of the cinematographers and show me all of the stuff they're doing behind the scenes. I don't need you to destroy the element. You have to sit there and buy into what's going on, and wrestling is constantly working against itself. And The Rock is one of the biggest problems right now in all of wrestling. Now, I did see this over on YouTube with Meltzer talking about this. So let's listen to this really quick.
It's not a secret that Levesque and Shawn Michaels tried to keep Dwayne down, I think they could see him as opposition to their ruling the kingdom.
Now, this was back at the height of The Rock and Triple H's feud. They had some real life stuff going on behind the scenes, and that's what he's referencing.
And everyone knows that, and now here we are decades later, and they have to work together. One's on the board, one's the head of creative. But people who watched the McAfee thing were giving me the impression that they sensed that the rivalry was still there. Maybe,
Well, we've had people mention that.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, I mean, whatever the story is, whatever the claimed story is, I mean, the fact is, if you look at a lot of WrestleMania, I mean, a lot of that was built towards for a long time. A lot of it made sense. And that Rock thing made no sense. And that Cena thing made no sense.
None.
And
in what sense the Cena thing made no sense? I mean,
in every sense. In every sense, the Cena Rock storyline made no sense whatsoever.
The guy, we had a month of storylines about how he wanted someone's soul. We were like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
That was only a week.
That was a week.
That was a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was a month before the show.
Yes.
He showed up.
It was in February.
He showed up. He said, I want this guy's soul. We were like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
And then we had like another week of television, and they replayed it, and it's like, what the hell is he talking about? And then you go to the show, and the big story is The Rock tells John Cena to take this guy out, and he does. Why?
We don't know.
I don't know.
because
It's
they
never
decided,
explained.
well, it's
He
not like
never showed up again.
it's
The Rock, since The Rock told John Cena to turn heel, the first heel turn in 25 years, since The Rock told him to do that, The Rock has not appeared on WWE television since, which makes no sense. People could sit here and talk about like, well, Jeremy, you know this is a work. That doesn't justify bad storytelling. This is just like a movie. This is just like a television show. If you have the biggest character in the series show up to create a crucial moment, and then that massive character that showed up to push that massive moment forward disappears completely, you're going to be like, what the hell are they doing? Wrestling is a TV show. It's a soap opera. That's what it is. And Dwayne Johnson, with his ego, has absolutely destroyed the biggest storyline going into WrestleMania. And of course, people are pissed off about it, as they should be.
not like that was the story. It's not like this was a long-term story.
Exactly. That's my point. That's why people think there's got to be an issue here with Rock and Triple H, because
Yes.
this is not a Triple H book storyline, because it makes no sense. There's no story. It's like Rock showed up and decided he wanted to do something, and they did it. And now it's like, I thought I was just going to, cause John Cena to turn heel after 25 years, and then I was going to disappear, and that's the story. It's like, that's not a story.
But the thing is,
What's happening?
That was not Rock. That was John Cena.
No, the decision that John Cena was going to turn. Okay, so you're telling me the day of the show, John Cena decided that he was going to turn that day.
Yes.
That's what you're telling me. Okay.
Yes.
So if he had not,
Yes.
Rock just spent weeks talking about wanting someone's soul.
Yeah.
So you're telling me the show, nothing was going to happen, and he was.
I will say this sounds very reminiscent of one of my problems of Lucasfilm. I've talked about Lucasfilm and Star Wars, lack of leadership. You can say whatever you want about Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon ruled and had leadership. I question a ton of creative decisions that Vince McMahon made. I absolutely do. Especially for the last decade and a half. Absolutely ridiculous decisions. But this was the difference in WCW and WWF. Vince McMahon and his leadership. Right now, there is no true leader at WWE. Triple H clearly doesn't have the pull to overstep The Rock, because The Rock is The Rock, and he's on the board of directors of TKO. I don't know who truly does have more pull at the company. I'm not sure. But there's clearly a tug of war going on creatively right now between Triple H and The Rock. No doubt about it in my mind.
Wasn't going to do anything through Mania?
That's why it was going to be. That was why it was going to be the second segment of the show. It was the second. That's why it was scheduled for the second segment.
So what was going to happen? Cena,
I figure he would do something.
he was just going to show up and say, "Nope, you don't get my soul," and Rock was just going to go away, and that was going to be it.
He was going to be. He was probably going to cut a promo on Cody in some form.
To build what?
To build.
Allegedly, he was just disappearing the next day and not doing Mania.
To build the turn that would happen at Mania.
He was going to cut a promo on Cody to build a turn at Mania involving another guy, and he wasn't going to be at Mania.
Well, he probably would have been at Mania for that.
But we just said he wasn't going to be at Mania, and you'd always been told he wasn't going to be at Mania.
Yeah, because the whole thing was thrown together at the last minute.
Okay, this doesn't make any sense.
This is a disaster.
Yes, because it doesn't make any sense. Because it doesn't. Because
this is why people listen to it and they go, "There must be issues with Triple H and The Rock."
Well,
because
Rock
they feel that like Rock is just coming in and doing whatever he wants.
Well, that's what happens.
That's why people think it.
Yes, Rock is going to do whatever he wants. We've established that for last year too. I mean, it's like he's going to do what he wants, except he did not have the power. Cody said no, so they had to change everything.
This is a weird dynamic, man, and ultimately, I don't know how this all plays out, but The Rock is a problem right now. The Rock wants to be, I think The Rock wants to be what Triple H is perceived to be, which is the new Vince McMahon. I don't really have an allegiance one way or the other on either one of these guys. But at the same time, we've got this right here. There's a pitch for John Cena and Travis Scott to team up in a tag team match sometime this year. What are we doing? This would be a disaster if this happened. This is not a good storyline at all. Travis Scott has no business being involved in wrestling, much less being the key component of the WrestleMania 41 storyline, where John Cena wins his 17th championship. This has The Rock's fingerprints written all over it as well. I'll leave you with one bit of good news, and it continues to show why the man is truly the greatest of all time. Logan Paul offered Stone Cold Steve Austin $1 million to put on a Prime bottle suit. Austin declined the offer. Thank you, Stone Cold Steve Austin, for continuing to be the GOAT. Undoubtedly the GOAT. And also, whoever that fan was that got mad at Austin, any fan that's ever been a wrestling fan would have given anything to be run over by Stone Cold Steve Austin on a four-wheeler at WrestleMania. You found the one Karen in the audience, though, Austin, so it is what it is. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below about all of this. Listen, wrestling drama behind the scenes is more interesting than the storylines in front of the scenes. Kind of always has been like that, but it's certainly like that right now. The dynamic between Triple H and The Rock is the most interesting thing going on. I will say Raw was really good last week. I enjoyed Monday Night Raw. The building up of, the Paul Heyman guys versus the former Paul Heyman guys. The John Cena, Randy Orton stuff is really good too. So there is some good stuff in the works. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have a great day, and we will talk to you later.